Hello, this is Matt. I know it's been a while since I've recorded one of these. There's been a lot going on. And I just haven't really had an opportunity to record. And recently there was a big snowstorm here in Oregon, and it wasn't as bad here as it was in some other places like Texas, but there was a lot of people that lost power. We were lucky in that we only lost ours for about one day, but we didn't have internet for a while, and then I've started having issues with my old phone, and I didn't feel comfortable trying to record something when I wasn't sure it was going to die on me. And there's been other stuff going on in my life, so. But tonight tonight I'm cat sitting for my sister. So if you hear anything in the background, it's probably my sister's two cats, Maverick and Zachary, playing around. But anyway, tonight I wanted to share one of my poems. It's a reworking of an older poem. And that's something I've been doing more recently, just taking some of my older poems and ones that I guess didn't feel as good about, or and then trying to turn it into something different that I feel better about, where I mean, if you're someone who has done a lot of writing, you look back on things you wrote and you're like, that wasn't very good, or I could have done that better. So I do that sometimes. And I kind of, there's something to creating something new, but also there's something to taking something old and reworking it into something different. So anyway, I wanted to share my poem with you, and here it is. My heart and mind are streets well traveled. Through avenues and alleys I stumble and weave. I am a knot waiting to be unraveled, seeking bonds that you cannot cleave. I am a wanderer seeking for truth, bombarded by countless voices and countless choices. I am a candle burning for fire, darkness takes flight from the blooming light. I am a vagabond looking for home, where one may make whole the battered soul. My flesh and spirit are authors of joy and of rage, with stories of heaven, with stories of hell. I am a bird leaping from their cage, with courage to hope that all will be well. So, I'm not sure if you notice that, I was trying to do different. I've noticed I like to do certain patterns, or kind of give a certain kind of structure to my writing, and so like the first two and the last two stanzas, they kind of have a certain rhyming pattern, and then the middle three have a different rhyming pattern, and then I kind of think of the middle stanza as the one that kind of jumps out, and that's where I get the title of the poem from. And so And then it's also 7 stanzas, and seven's kind of an important number, and a lot of numerology and different things, like it's the number of completion, like the 7 days of creation in the Bible and that sort of thing. But anyway, aside from the structure and all that, I think I was trying to express some of what's some of what goes on inside of me. I guess I could go through each stanza and just give some thoughts in each one, and then maybe go from there. So the first stanza: my heart, mind, or streets well traveled, through avenues and alleys I stumble and weave. It's almost like my thoughts and feelings. I have a lot of the same kinds of thoughts and feelings that repeat and repeat, and sometimes it feels like I'm just it's kind of like going to the same job every day by the same route, and you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over, and it kind of you can get used to it, but at the same time you feel like you're just kind of stumbling and weaving through life. So I think that's what I was trying to say there. And then I'm a knot waiting to be unraveled, seeking bonds that you cannot cleave. On the one hand, I feel like I'm kind of stuck and constricted in some ways, and like I need to be set free. And then I'm also looking for connections and things that can't, those connections that can't be broken. And then I'm a wanderer seeking for truth, bombarded by countless voices and countless choices. So, I want to know what's really going on. Sometimes especially just kind of, I guess, the ultimate nature of reality. Like, I want to know what's going on. But, I have there's so many different people saying so many different things, and I get mixed messages, and so it can be kind of confusing. And so sometimes I feel like I'm just kind of wandering around, and then a candle burning for fire, darkness takes flight from the blooming light. I'm a candle burning for fire. I'd like to think I have a light within me, but it's almost like it needs to be ignited more. I feel like I need help really making it shine. And I guess you could say darkness takes flight from the blooming light. It's like, that's hope, I guess. It's like I need more of that hope and something to hold back the dark with. I'm a vagabond looking for home, where one may make whole the battered soul. I don't feel like, I don't really know where I belong, and I feel broken in some ways, and like I need healing. And my flesh and spirit are authors of joy and of rage, with stories of heaven and stories of hell. It's like both my body and soul have experienced both positive and negative feelings, and positive and negative things, and I've gone through times where I felt like I was in heaven, and other times where I felt like I was in hell. And I am a bird leaping from their cage with courage to hope that all will be well. That's just, again, going kind of back to that feeling confined and constricted, and but hoping, I'm trying to find the courage to have hope that it'll be okay. That I'll be okay. That I'll find what I'm looking for, what I'm longing for. So, it's I guess I'm just trying to find ways to express those different thoughts and feelings that I have, and obviously it's open to interpretation because everybody sees things a little differently, and that's okay. This also brings a couple other things to mind. I remember I had these dreams recently where part of the dream was there was a shadow version of myself standing at the foot of my bed, kind of looking at me. And I remember being kind of scared. But then I remember after I woke up, I kind of had the image go through my mind of that shadow filling with light, and maybe even me embracing that shadow. And recently, when I was walking in downtown Portland to the bus stop to get my bus home, there was an owl, like a big whitish grayish owl that flew right by me and then flew up to like a lamppost. Kind of looked at me when he was going by, and I was looking online that's fairly rare to see an owl in a place like that, like a downtown urban area, especially a big one like that. And I kind of looked up the spiritual meaning of owl, of like seeing an owl or having an owl encounter like that. I remember one part jumped out at me was something about it's a reminder that you may need to do some shadow work, healing from past trauma, or learning to listen to your intuition. It kind of made me think. And a friend of mine last night did a tarot reading for me, and it was a 5-card reading, and I won't go into detail about all of it, but the last card was an upside down justice, and my friend is pretty knowledgeable with tarot, and she said that how she interpreted it was that I need to work on not judging myself so much. And I think she's right. Like the other night, I've had so many different things going on inside of me, different things in my life, and different kinds of struggles. And for the first time in a long time, I actually tried praying to Jesus. Of all things, like I've mentioned in a past podcast, I walked away from the church some time ago, because of for a lot of different reasons. But it was, like I had mentioned or talked about it, where there was just too much that didn't make sense to me in either my head or my heart, and it just got me all mixed up and confused and just in turmoil, and so I eventually just had to walk away from it. But I guess I just felt, I've been exploring different things, kind of more so in the New Age spirituality and spiritualism kind of territory. But even in that, even in that, there's people that will say positive things about Jesus, and even it's not necessarily from a Christian perspective. It's and like I've thought about through the years, like I find it interesting that Jesus is someone who's respected in different faith traditions. Obviously in the Christian faith, but also in Judaism, even though they don't see him as the Messiah, there are some that at least see him as a rabbi who has a valuable contribution to give. And Buddhists see him as, an enlightened person. Islam sees him as a prophet. The Hindus, I think, or at least some of them, see him as I don't know how to pronounce this word, a Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva. I'm probably saying it way wrong, but anyway, different faith traditions see him in different ways, but they kind of uphold him as an important figure, and I'm not really sure what to think about him. Whether he was God in human form, like many Christians believe, or if he was simply a man who was deeply connected to God. I mean, there's even some people who question whether he existed at all as a person. But there's still things about him, like his story, that I still find compelling in some ways. And I remember some people have had that interpretation of the crucifixion where it's God sharing in our pain. And I think I've talked about that before, how that speaks to me, that concept. And so I guess maybe that's why. And I remember I was praying in the shower where I usually pray, and I was just kind of pouring my heart out to Jesus, even though I don't have a really clear idea who Jesus is, and different people say different things and argue about it and debate about it, but I guess just visualizing someone that really understands what I'm going through and accepts me, even in spite of everything I've gotten wrong or everything I've said or done wrong, any faults or flaws or weaknesses or shortcomings, that somehow, even with all that I'm still accepted, I'm still loved. And so I felt like maybe I was answered in some way. I remember part of an answer, what felt like an answer was, I remember I was listening to one of these live streams that one of my favorite musicians, Aurora Askanius, who I've mentioned in past podcasts, she was doing this live stream video, and I remember at one point she said that, she dedicated this song of hers, a different kind of human, both to people who have lost others, lost loved ones, but also to people who feel like they've lost themselves. And that was something that kind of hit home, and I remember it brought tears to my eyes. And it's, because sometimes I felt kind of lost, like a wanderer, like a vagabond. And it's just, I felt like, I guess I felt in some way that I was heard. And, I've just had, little things happening here and there that have kind of helped me feel that. And feel like, there's light in my darkness, because it can feel that way, that all I am. Sometimes I can feel like I'm lost in the dark and there's no light, I felt that way a lot of times throughout my life, and so I'm just trying to remember that that's not always the case. Sometimes you can find light, sometimes you can find hope, I remember my friend who did my tarot reading for me, she said, she said, you don't realize, how much light you bring into the world. And it's hard for me to be open to that, I guess, to be open to the idea that I can, bring that light, that I can be that light. That blooming light that beats back the darkness. I guess I just try to believe that. I remember I was watching a movie with my friend Annie in Kenya. We were watching The Boy Who Could Fly. It's this old 80s movie that some listeners might have heard of. It's one I've always had a fondness for. It's a beautiful story about this autistic boy that, or teenager rather, who can fly, and connects with this girl, teenage girl that is trying to help him. Like, he can't speak or anything. I actually thought it's interesting. It's probably the earliest movie I can think of where it really kind of focuses in on autism in any meaningful way. And I remember my friend, she was really moved by it, and she really loved it, and I guess she was having a really rough time that day, and that movie really cheered her up and helped her feel better, at least for a little while. And she was, thanking me profusely, and 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 that made me feel good. Made me feel good to bring a little light into her life, even if just for a little while. And so I guess I try to hold on to that. And so that poem, this poem, I think it's expressing a lot of that kind of thing. And just a lot of those struggles. But like that middle stanza, it's kind of that hope for light. And maybe the truth is I have that light within me. I think I've shared in the podcast before that line that comes to my mind sometimes. When you find the light within you, you will see the light all around you, because we all have light inside of us. We have shadows too, but that's not all that we are, and even our shadows have their place. Well, anyways, this is already pretty long. I don't want it to be any longer than it already is, and but I just thought I'd share that poem with you and share some of my thoughts and feelings at the moment, and some of what I've been thinking about and wondering about. And anyways, sorry this one's a little rough, and well, they've all been a little rough. But anyway, thank you for listening.